I'm kind of short. Okay. I hope you can still see me. I'm short, and I'm a Filipina, so. Good morning, everybody. I am Marinel Ubaldo. I am a climate justice activist from the Philippines. I'm part of a global movement and one of the 4 leading climate activists of the Make Reach Polluters Pay campaign. My journey into climate advocacy began more than a decade ago when I was trained as a child facilitator. Back then, we visited remote communities to raise awareness about the basics of climate change. But in 2013, the strongest typhoon in recorded human history, the Super Typhoon Haiyan, struck our community. It tore apart our communities, taking the lives of our loved ones. That was a turning point. It was then that I decided I wouldn't be a lifelong victim. I refused to accept the trauma, the fear, and the hopelessness of our faith. I made it as my mission to bring change so that my family, my community, and others like it wouldn't have to suffer as we did. In my relentless pursuit for climate justice, I dream of a world where we all share our natural resources, where wealthy nations support the development of those still struggling, and where the biggest polluters are held responsible for the destruction they've caused. I envision a world where young people have a voice and a seat at the table, where our opinions matter, and where tokenism is nothing but a distant memory. You, yes you, and every one of us have the power to make a difference. In the news, we can hear these phrases repeatedly. We must leave no one behind. There is no time for incremental change. We must act urgently with transformational intent. We must transition from mere talk to concrete action. The primary missing element in solving our greatest issue is political will. Climate change is hurting people and our planet in ways we can't ignore. It's hitting the most vulnerable the hardest, and those who've contributed the least are suffering the most. The biggest polluters, the ones making obscene profits, must be held accountable. They've pumped out emissions at an astonishing rate while misleading us and influencing politicians to keep us addicted to oil and gas. And countries like mine, the Philippines, which emit just a fraction of global carbon, we are just emitting 0.35% of the global carbon emission, are shouldering the weight of this crisis. These major polluters must pay their dues. And it's not just about environment, it's about justice. We must dismantle an economy rigged to benefit the privileged few while the majority pays the price. It starts by making the biggest polluters pay for the mess they've made and future we all deserve. As I stand here, I'm just a 26-year-old Asian woman with dreams. But the shadow of climate change looms over my future. I don't know if I'll survive the next typhoon, but I'm fighting for a legacy of a healthy planet for my children, a world where they can dream without fear. I dream of the day I can look them in the eye and say, I fought for your future. So now it's your turn to make this world better. You might have not to be a climate activist because hopefully this generation will solve the climate crisis. Thank you for being here and making your mark. Together, collectively, as a movement, we will create a future for our children to see. Thank you.
Hola, con todos, con todas, con todos.
Hello. As it was said, I'm Pavel Martiarena and I come from the Peruvian jungle in South America. I would like to start with an anecdote. Today I was told I had to fly to Madrid and then to Barcelona, I missed the flight because of weather conditions. The day before, we were in Puerto Maldonado, 41 degrees, a record. It was the hottest month of October. And on the following day, I was supposed to take the flight. There was a flood and a lot of rain. It was pouring, so we couldn't take the flight. And in the afternoon, was very sad. And then I looked up and told to the heaven, to the nature, please, it is important. I need to take this flight. I want to be in Barcelona and share my experience with all of you. And then I could leave on the following day, but I was thinking about this paradox. And it was just a flight. In the case of millions of people, is losing even their lives. And the climate crisis is hitting us, is hitting all of us. And this is why I am here, being an activist and engaging not only performances and the street performances, art, education. I co-funded 12 years ago a collective called Green Generation, and with my friends and colleagues, we do these things for the climate crisis. I am a photographer and I combine images to show you the reality in the Peruvian Amazonian, the extractivism that hit the indigenous communities, women and children, and also show this relationship between people and nature is truly possible. We cannot close our eyes. It can be possible. Another future is possible. And I understood that this struggle has to be collective, and this is why I created this collective, this group. And I understood that we needed to be a little crazy as well, and to be dreamers. And also because we are not living in an island. The planet does not depend on the most vulnerable regions being impacted. We are all going to suffer these impacts, and being in this type of meetings allows me to exchange experiences, knowing about what you feel, and getting inspiration. And in Peru, we had the support from Oxfam. We did some meetings, the activism laboratories meetings, and it is a climate struggle, but it's linked to economy and gender. So this struggle has to be transsectional, and it has to be cross-sectional and multidisciplinary, and we are not lost. It's too late to be pessimistic. We cannot give up. And this is why I am here. And all my colleagues are coming from all over the world, from so many different cultures and different realities and different colors, because we believe that another future is possible, and the future is now. So future is not in a few years, future is now, and we have to be together to face the future, because it's going to be hard, but together we will be able to keep on. That's all. Thank you very much.
Funciona? Hola? Perfecte. Jo sóc nascuda el 2002.
Well, I was born in 2002, belong to the climate generation and TikTok generation, the glass generation. We have so many different names. My parents are journalists, and I grew with this feeling of crisis, and the 2008 crisis, the pandemic, and before I turned 18. So despite having this feeling of a crisis, I think these feminist and climate movements have impacted me more. I started being an activist when I was 16 years old. Praise Your Future movement was founded by me back in 2009, and it changed my life. And I attended an assembly by chance, let me tell you, and I went to the United Nations. My face was on the mass media for just 6 months, and then I didn't look back. And it is true that we were scared, and there was a panic everywhere. Right now, I can say that we cannot be scared. It's not the fear that gives me strength, it's to believe that we have a future that will give us some strength to move on. I believe in my generation, and I've been criticized because not everybody believes in our generation as you do here. This glass generation, a generation that might break, and that complains. So I would like to use the word glass generation, because glass is a great material. It's a transparent material, a resilient material, and although it is broken, it cuts and leaves a mark. So yes, glass generation, and not a lot of people know that all the movements, 2009, these millions of boys and girls taking the streets were impacted by other movements, ecological, feminist, anti-racist movements, and they have accompanied me during my teenage years. And these movements, thanks to these movements, I have these values and the knowledge to come here and talk to you. And in these shared spaces, assemblies and formal spaces, bars that give the ideas to the future. These ideas that we want to achieve. So this ticket to the future, the trains, hotels, these are different weird places that give us spaces to us, to Marinel, Pavel and me, and we are eager, and we have a common ideas to fight for, and I see the solution in these people who brought me here. So
I believe you already said your call to action.